So sometimes the equation of a parabola is not in standard form. So what I mean by that is a parabola is usually something like y squared equals a number times x, or x squared equals a number times y, or shifted versions of these. So I could have something like a shifted y squared equals a number times a shifted x, or shifted x squared equals some number times a shifted y. Okay, and so the reason we would have to complete the square to do this occasionally is if we want to create this guy that's squared. Alright, and that's what we're going to see here. So the example I want to look at is this equation, y squared plus 2y minus 9x plus 28 equals 0. And what I can tell from this is that the y is squared. So we're looking at one of these top two guys. In fact, I can see that I don't just have a y squared like in this form. I actually have a y squared and a y. That tells me that I will have to complete the square on the y's, and I'm looking to get something like this here. We'll find out if we're going to have a shifted x, because in fact you could have a shifted y and just x over here that's not shifted, so we'll see what happens. Okay, but let's get busy. If I want to get this form, then I need to get all my y's on the left side. So I've got y squared plus 2y equals, I'll add 9x and subtract 28 from both sides. Now I need to make this a perfect square trinomial by adding something to it, and we'll figure that out in a minute. Since this is an equation, I need to keep it balanced by adding the same thing to the other side. Now sometimes the number here is not a 1, and you'd have to deal with that. It's much easier to complete the square if this number is a 1. In fact, when you want to do this for a parabola, you need this to be a 1, because if you notice up here, this is 1y. So it has to be a 1 in this particular case to complete the square. Alright, let's figure out what to add. To get y squared, and I want to use two binomials that are the same, I have to have y and y. To get two numbers that add to 2 and are the same, I'd have to use 1 and 1. Then 1 times 1 is 1, and that's what goes here. So I have to add 1 to both sides. Now, combining the negative 28 and the 1 over here, I get 9x minus 27. Finally, I have y plus 1, quantity squared, which looks like I want it to here, equals, now I need x, not 9x, right? See how I have the x there. So what I need to do is factor the 9 out away from the x. So I have to factor the 9 out of the entire right side, which leaves x minus 3. Now this equation is a parabola in standard form.